On March 28th, 2023, a man on the internet called me a bleached hippo and told me I should stop talking about history forever. And do you know what I did? I created History Hippo merch and made the hippo our official mascot on For the Love of History. And as of last year, I had my tattoo artist brother give me a hippo tattoo on the back of my arm. And I sit before you recording this podcast episode dressed as a cunty little hippo because I am nothing if not a petty bitch with an incredible sense of humor. Little did that poor excuse of a human being know that I would make money off of his attempt to rub two brain cells together and insult me. Call me a hippo, sir? Why, thank you. Much like the hippo goddesses that we'll be talking about today, I will eat up this episode, leave no crumbs, and no one will remember who you are. Welcome, 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 friends. I'm TK, your tour guide to the past, and you are listening to For the Love of History, the podcast where we talk about world history, women's history, and weird history. That March day will go down as a turning point in this podcast's history. I had my very first viral video and my first bout of hate comments, none of which were anything to write home about, except for that one comment, which would ignite a 2-year-long love affair with hippos and everything to do with them. I've always known that hippos were fierce and cool, but I didn't realize just how cool and badass they were until I stumbled upon these hippo goddesses that we're going to talk about today. But before we dive into that, I have a little tad of baby favor to ask you. If you are listening on your favorite listening platform, please feel free. Please do leave a rating or review, both preferably if your platform allows. And if you're watching over on YouTube, like, subscribe, and wherever you're consuming this content, go ahead and share it with a person who you think needs to be indoctrinated into the not a cult, just a club group of history besties on For the Love of History podcast. Okay? Alrighty, with that, let's channel our inner Mudang conduit of chaos, hop into the time machine, and let's get to it. In 2024, a wee pygmy hippo from Thailand took hold of the internet in her little tiny gummy jaws, and she still has not let go. Mudang was a huge hit for the Hippo PR team, and she won the hearts and minds of netizens around the world with her chaotic energy and anarchist behavior. And many were left with the question, how could something so cute be such a terror? Being a certified hippo enthusiast, I knew right away what kind of energy that slippery little slug baby was channeling. The energy of her terrifying foremothers, Ammit and Taweret. Unless you're a certified Egyptian mythology nerd, which, let's face it, you're listening to this podcast and you're part of this community, so the chances are very high, but still the names Ammit and Taweret may not be the most familiar to you because they haven't really gotten as much screen time as their celestial brethren. Gods and goddesses like Horus and Osiris, who appear in the 1999 cinematic masterpiece starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, aka The Mummy, have been in the spotlight for decades, and Ra and a multitude of others appear in hundreds of movies, games, and various pieces of media. It wasn't until recently that our hippo chimera cuties appeared as main characters in the new Marvel movie Moon Knight. Hello, editing TK here real quick. I refer to the Moon Knight series as a movie several times in this episode. Disregard, it is not a movie, it is a miniseries. Okay, thanks so much. Back to the episode. And when I saw it, I absolutely squealed when they first came on screen. And then I became very upset, but we'll talk about my beef with Marvel a little bit later. We'll begin our journey of hippo-y goodness with the least hippo-y of the pair, Ammit. Now, you may not immediately realize that Ammit is part hippo, but she's hippo where it counts, in the booty. And I know that there's a joke that should be here, but I can't think of a funny thing to say, so pretend I said something really clever and hilarious and We're laughing. Oh, TK, you're so good. Comedic genius. Anyways, Ammit is a chimera of lion, crocodile, and hippo. Her head is the snappy part. Her front legs and body are the floofy bit, and the junk in the trunk is all hippo, baby. Again, another joke that I can't think of. The combination may seem arbitrary, but her job is to devour, protect, and keep the balance of the underworld. The crocodile part of her represents strength and ferocity, often associated with the Nile and its power. The lioness symbolizes, once again, ferocity and protection. We got double ferocity over here. And the lioness also reflects the fierce nature of a guardian. The hippopotamus is known for its aggressive behavior, and it represents chaos and the dangers of the natural world. All of those combined, you get one super great guardian of the underworld. And if you're not familiar with the Egyptian afterlife, babe, oh, my sweet little donut, do I have a new hyperfixation for you, because the afterlife, known as Duat in Egyptian mythology, is very, very interesting. So the path a soul takes to Duat that will hopefully, in the end, to paradise, known as Aru, involves a ceremony known as the weighing of the heart. And that's why the heart is left inside of the body of a deceased person and not put into a canopic jar, well, when they die. Fun fact. TK's fun facts. Once a soul reaches Duat, they must enter into the Hall of Two Truths, where they stand in front of Osiris and his scales to weigh their heart against the feather of Ma'at, the goddess of truth and justice. In life, hearts are weighed down by sin and greed and other naughty things. So if you have not lived a pious life, your heart will not pass the vibe check, and it will be heavier than the feather. If that happens, your ticker will be tossed to Ammit, and you will cease to exist. Ammit can not allow a sinful heart into the afterlife, because that would make the cosmic order go all cattywampus, and if the cosmos gets all wacky, then the world as we know it is thrown into chaos, and that's like her whole job, to protect the cosmos and keep chaos at bay. She's not evil. As far as I know, she is not relishing in the consumption of hearts of the sinful. She's just doing her job. And a soul in Duat has several different opportunities to unburden their soul and confess their sins. There's also plenty of things that the living can do in order to lighten the heart of the dead. So if by the time you make it to Osiris and Ammit and your heart is heavy, it's really on you. It's really on you at that point for not taking the opportunity to lighten your soul. She's just doing her job, which is a fact conveniently forgotten by Marvel when making her the antagonist in the Moon Knight series. Again, I got major beef, but I digress. And while I must admit, okay, I understand that she is really scary looking, which is one of the main qualifications for being a bad guy, she's terrifying, but not without reason. She is, after all, divine retribution incarnate, in physical form. She is the castor oil list come to life. She's strong, she's necessary, and guaranteed to clean out what does not belong. And that's why we stan her. And here on For the Love of History podcast, if you're new, the castor oil list is the ever-growing list of garbage humans and offenders of history and justice that will be gently poisoned upon the invention of time travel, because I will go back in time, put some castor oil in their food or their drink, and then seal all of the bathrooms in the vicinity so that they have to do their business in front of all of their family and friends. That's what the castor oil list is, if you're new. If you didn't know. Anyways, well, the writer's room of Marvel HQ didn't really understand this concept of her being divine retribution incarnate, thus being scary. The people of ancient Egypt did. From the Old Kingdom to the New, they had a healthy fear of Ammit, but they also had respect for her. Her image was used in protection and magic that we'll talk a little bit more about later on in the episode. And while she was never worshipped as a goddess, her role in Egyptian religion was no less important. And yeah, she was a terrifying chimera monster lady, but if you've ever worked in middle management or in a managerial position at all, you know that sometimes you gotta devour a few hearts and eat some people up to get shit in shape to get things in order. And that's what Ammit did. In order to keep the cosmos running, she had to gobble up a few people's hearts. And you know, who doesn't? And while we do appreciate Ammit and all she has been doing, hers is only half of the Hippo story, because while she's downstairs taking care of business, eating up hearts, her mythological sister in chaos is busy delivering babies and protecting mothers. As cute and cuddly as Mudang is, hippos are terrifying. And although some of them look like sentient wet jelly beans, they do kill lots of people. And the ancient Egyptians were well aware of the everyday dangers that hippos posed. Aside from devouring your heart and making you not exist anymore, real world and everyday consequences of hippo invasions weighed heavily on the minds of Egyptians, especially farmers. Hippos are weirdly nocturnal. Like, in your brain, when you think of a nocturnal animal, do you think of a hippo? Not I, dear one. Not me. But they do most of their eating at night. Crazy, weird bananas. And it was not uncommon for a farmer to go to sleep with a full crop and then wake up with over half of it completely devoured by the nighttime snacking of a single hippo. They really chow down, which resonates with my soul. Hippo attacks were also unfortunately common in the ancient world. Even today, hippos kill approximately 500 people each year. Each year, 500 people. So imagine when hippos were like out and about all over the place. It's crazy. Life in ancient Egypt, even without hippos, was incredibly tough. And as much as we like to imagine that everybody was super sexy like Imhotep and Anaxunamun, maybe that's just me, but in reality, death, disease, and disability were all just around the corner. Archaeologists have found evidence of work-related injuries on teenagers, rampant anemia and malnutrition, and debilitating injuries. And while there was medicine and medical care, in no way was it like what we have today. In lieu of germ theory and surgery and modern medication and handicap accessibility tools and diagnostic practices, magic was employed to lessen the burden of those daily worries. And I do mean magic, like capital M magic. We're talking spells, we're talking wands, we're talking potions and things. It was magic. And the magic could help with anything from protecting from ghosts and evil spirits to curing a cold and helping with childbirth. And that last one in particular, childbirth, was insanely dangerous. I mean, it's no cakewalk nowadays. It's still incredibly dangerous, but at least now we have hospitals and drugs and IVs and soap, like I don't know, sterile conditions. I've never had a child before, but I would much rather do it here today now than like 3,000 years ago. Okay, that's what I know in my heart and soul. Because birthing a child and also being a child were two of the most dangerous phases of life. We have no exact numbers for this, but based on the best estimates through artifacts and documents, Egyptologists have gathered that around 30 to 40% of children did not make it to their first birthday, and then 40% never saw their fifth. And death due to pregnancy complications was just as high. And even though it was common, it made it no less horrific and distressful for mothers and families. So they employed the best tools that they had at their disposal, magic and their deities. And they called upon a certain goddess to protect mothers and children, the Hippo goddess Taweret. In the Egyptian religion, you have two types of deities: the state-sanctioned ones and the domestic ones. The state-sanctioned ones, say that 10 times fast. Oh my God, I can't even say it one time. Anyways, moving on. The state-sanctioned ones are the gods and goddesses that have giant temple complexes like Ra and Isis and Horus and Set and things like that, which were prayed to by individuals but also by the state. They have a direct connection to the pharaoh and the elites up here. Then you have domestic gods and goddesses that don't have a temple complex, or in some cases, they don't even have a cult like priests and priestesses that perform rituals for them, but they are worshipped in the home, and Taweret is one such goddess. Much like the food at Taco Bell, these two goddesses have the same ingredients, but in different combinations. I can't believe that I just likened Egyptian goddesses to Taco Bell, but I did. Here we are. Okay, comedic genius. That makes up for the hippo butt joke from earlier. Anyways, Taweret has the head of a hippo and the paws of a lion with a crocodile tail. And in some depictions, no crocodile, and in others, it's just a full crocodile on her head, just like chilling on her back and on her head. But unlike Ammit, she is also mixed with the very distinct body of a human, a pregnant human with a swollen belly and large breasts. Her hippo, lion, and croc features provide her with the same type of powers, protection and control of chaos and ferocity and all of those things. However, her pregnant belly and breasts set her apart from Ammit and give her powers over the realm of fertility and childbirth. The combination of terrifying beasties and pregnancy might seem confusing and nonsensical, but they are fearsome protectors of their young. Sweet, sweaty Lord Sobek helped the person who comes in between a lioness and her cub, or a hippo and her calf. I don't know if you've seen the Discovery Channel, but if you have not, you need to Google lioness protecting her cubs, because it's a whole thing. It's crazy. It's bananas. The Egyptians understood that survival meant harnessing the forces that you feared, harnessing the features that you feared. Yeah, the lion was scary. Yeah, the hippo was terrifying, but I also want to embody all of those terrifying aspects. And in a world without medicine, they wrapped that fear and those features in spells and prayers, which is how the hippo leapt from riverbank menace to household protector, and embodied in the goddess Taweret. Personal piety and individual religiosity are hotly debated topics among some in the Egyptology community. And today, our goal is not to debate the proper terminology and the development of domestic religions and practices throughout ancient Egypt. We're just looking at one particular aspect of this topic. And if you want to read more about the drama and the academic tea that's going on about that topic, I will leave some articles and some resources that you can read, some further reading in the show notes below, where you can find the other resources for this episode. So just keep that in mind, okay? That's what we're talking about today. So what the heck is personal piety and domestic religion in the context of ancient Egypt? Excellent question. Thank you for asking. The way that I can best understand and explain personal religiosity as a former Catholic girly who grew up every Sunday saying, "Peace be with you, and also unto you. We lift up our hearts. We lift them up to the Lord," is through Catholicism. In Catholicism, the Pope is the guy who has the direct line to God. Pope picks up the phone. God's there. God tells him what's up. Pope's like, bet, let me tell the rest of the people. And the priests are like, they don't have a direct line, but they all have pagers. So they get a little, like, they get a page. Oh my God. Are there delicious donuts out there that don't know what a pager is? a pager. If you don't know what a pager is, please look up what a pager is. This joke will be way funnier and make way more sense. But anyways, the priests, they get a page. They get a little page on their belt clip, and they're like, okay, I gotta go talk to God real quick. BRB. That's what state religion is like in Egypt. The pharaoh and then the other priests, they are the ones that talk to like the major gods. And then personal religiosity, domestic religion is like praying to the saints. You can have a personal relationship with the saints. My Grammys, rest her soul, would always say, don't bother God. He doesn't have time for your problems. Go talk to one of the saints like Catherine or Michael or somebody like that. They've got time for you. That's why they're there. Talk to St. Anthony. God doesn't have time for you, girl. And that's what I imagine the domestic personal religiosity is like in or was like in ancient Egypt. You could have a direct relationship and ask them directly for help and support and guidance and protection. And this was done with home altars, amulets, magic wands, and even protective art. And now I'm not saying that these two were completely mutually exclusive, but Taweret really was only worshipped in the home, in a domestic setting. Amulets are the most common and abundant artifact of personal piety that we have in relationship to Taweret. And really, as early as the pre-dynastic era, we have evidence of these tiny, adorable hippo amulets that you would wear on a bracelet or a necklace or carry with you in some way, something like that, that you would always just have on your person. And these are some of the earliest symbols of protection at all, like in general, these little hippos. And although they were not explicitly Taweret, they were her first iterations. The very first official datable appearance of Taweret comes from an apotropaic magic wand. We've talked about apotropaic magic a little bit before. We did it in a Museum Minis episode a while back when we talked about incantation bowls. But if you haven't watched that yet, apotropaic magic means protection magic. Magic that wards off evil spirits, ghosties, bad stuff, yucky little thingies that we don't like. And an apotropaic wand from the Middle Kingdom is our very first datable evidence of Taweret, her first iteration. And if you're watching in the audio only, if you're listening only in the audio only version, I will describe to you what this wand looked like. It's not like the magic witchy wand that you would think of now. It's more of like a banana-shaped boomerang made from the tusk of a hippo. It's very flat, it's curved, and it has engravings of Taweret and other protection deities and animals on it. And this could have been used in several different ways. And we're not really sure exactly how they were used in ritual, but it was used. And that's really cool that they have magic wands. So from the Middle Kingdom to the New Kingdom, and until the rise of Christianity in the Roman period, Taweret was called upon for protection by mothers and families all throughout Egypt. Her amulets in particular have been discovered all over different settlements, and in virtually every settlement in the New Kingdom, an amulet of hers, at the very least an amulet, had been found. Taweret was the domestic deity, and her image was placed on birthing bricks, painted onto walls in rooms, on door frames, in offering bowls, in offering grills, which are a thing that I didn't know about. You could grill up some meat and put it as an offering. Crazy cool. Love that. By having her image on an item or carrying it with you, the person was then imbued with all of those things that one would fear about a hippo or an alligator or a lion. Ferocity, protection, maternal instincts, all of those things would be channeled through the amulet or through the item and given to the wearer or placed somehow as a protection to the person that was in the room or using that item. And there were no limits to her protection. She was known to help all Egyptian women, every single one, regardless of social or economic status, and no matter who you were, Taweret was there for you. Taweret was the one who was going to show up for you in all of her hippo chimera glory. And all I can think about is the hundreds of women and mothers and grandmothers and sisters and fathers and brothers holding those little amulets that are in museums now. Just, oh my God, I'm not sorry. This is emotional. This is a big thing, but I'm just imagining them, praying to her and probably in their darkest moments waiting to see if their wives and their children would make it through birth, hoping that their sick babies would make it to their first birthday, then rejoicing when they did, and offering thanks to Taweret. And when they were celebrating their children moving from childhood into adulthood, thanking Taweret when they made it safely through childbirth, which is really scary. And when unfortunately they didn't make it, Taweret was there to protect them even in death. Oh, excuse me. Okay, we had a little bit of a cry, but it's like a big thing. Thinking about all those people, their hopes and their dreams and their things that they are scared of. I always turn to history when I'm going through a tough time or something, which right now, the world is going through a tough time. And even though people say if you're happy while studying history, you're studying the wrong stuff, I get it. I understand. I understand that history is full of horrible atrocities and terrible things, but it's also full of people like this fighting and living their normal lives through those atrocities. So it's okay to have a little cry. It's okay to feel a certain type of way when you're learning about history and thinking about people of the past. Remember that bad bitches cry. Bad bitches cry. We cry and we rally. And if learning about history makes us feel more connected to people of the past, then you're doing it right. And we're doing it right. And we're having a cry while we wear a hippo costume. And that's the kind of quality content that you can expect here at For the Love of History. Anyways, what is often left out of videos and podcasts and stories about Taweret is that she was not only the goddess of life and protection and children and mothers, she was the queen of fertility in general and the cycle of life, which includes death. Taweret's name translates to the Great One, and in some cases she goes by the title of Mistress of Pure Waters. And there are several myths that answer the question as to why she has that epitaph. Several myths exist where she is nurturing and purifying the deceased in the pure waters of the Nile. Some say that it is a connection to her association with childbirth, the pure water being amniotic fluid. And both of those totally make sense. It makes sense that she would be connected with water because hippos used to live in the Nile. Now they don't. Hippos were hunted to extinction, unfortunately, and no longer exist in the wild in Egypt. Sorry for another TK's unfun facts. And Taweret's association with death completely makes sense. People live and die by the Nile, although the Nile is life-giving and it provides the much necessary water to sustain life in Egypt. It was also dangerous. And it was also full of crocodiles and hippos and things that could definitely kill you. And during the flood season, it could wipe away your entire crop. It could be devastating and it could be life-giving. And it also operates on a cycle as well. You have the flood season and you have the dry season, which can represent birth and death. And hippos are all a part of that cycle. And thus, Taweret is part of that cycle. And no one is exempt from that cycle. And the ancient Egyptians knew it. From Tutankhamun's grand tomb to the burials of the nameless, Taweret's image can be found in statues, in mummification brooches, in paintings on mummification wrappings, and fresco secco paintings, which are the paintings on tomb walls, from charms that were placed on babies, amulets of the dead and the living, and so much more. From the very top of Egyptian society to the very economic bottom. Regardless of status, no one can escape the cycle of life. And therefore, she was there to protect you in both. Taweret may be one of the most ubiquitous goddesses in the Egyptian pantheon. She was fierce yet gentle, ferocious and aggressive, but loving and nurturing, and she stood on business and was for the people. All people. And she is the Hippo goddess you may not have known about, but you definitely need, and you most certainly deserve. Well, dear one, we have come to our final thought, and we have a little bit of a weird one, a little bit of an interesting one today. I have a Mudang blind box here, a Thailand Mudang blind box, and there are one of 4 Mudangs that you can get. Mudang at rest, a drag to work Mudang, a jaw-dropping Mudang, and a stay away Mudang. There's all these different Mudangs that you can get. So I thought that we could open this up while I tell you about my beef with Marvel and what they did to Ammit and Taweret, okay? So long story short, Taweret is basically a ditz in the Moon Knight movie and series. She's like ditzy, giggly, which is fine. It's fine. Being a ditz and being a baddie are not mutually exclusive. I am living proof of that. I am emotional, but I am also a critical thinker. I am silly, goofy, crazy, but I am also academic, okay? I bring the whimsy to the party, but I also bring the wisdom. And so do you. You are a person of multitude. I am a person of multitude. And Taweret, maybe she, sure, ditzy, whatever. But her character is exceedingly one-dimensional in the movies, and I don't like it. I don't like it. And Ammit, I don't like that they made her the bad guy, because she's not a bad guy. I don't like that they call her a bad guy, but I still would recommend going and seeing the movie anyways. Okay, now time for the blind box. I would love the having a rest one or the stay away one literally any of them. I'm sorry to the audio. Teddy's here. All right. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's open it up and let's see what we get. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Can you see? Can you see it? Teddy, you look. We got the one with her mouth open. Hold on, let me be in my beauty influencer era. So cute. Look at this tiny little Mudang. I am in love with her. She's gonna go up on the shelf of important things. I will find a place for her, and I'm so excited. Thank you for joining me for this episode. Thank you to the Delicious Donut who sent me this Mudang blind box. I love her so much. Of course, we get the one mouth opened, ready for chaos, exactly like her ferocious foremothers would want her to be. I had a great time. This this episode was a little bit all over the place, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed this costume, because I enjoyed making it, being a cunty little hippo. But that's all I have for you for today. If you have made it till the end, just so you know, my birthday is August 25th. It's on Monday, so maybe drop me a happy birthday in the comments. That would be really sweet, and it would also help in the algorithm. Anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I love you so much. Don't forget, bad bitches cry. So if you need to have a cry, go have your cry. Come back and rally. And I will see you next week when we have a yokai episode special. I'm so excited about it. Our annual spooky Summerween episode is coming out. We're doing Ghibli yokai, okay? Which I cannot believe we haven't done that already. How has it taken me 5 years to do that? I don't know. I apologize for my sins that I have done by not having a yokai Ghibli episode. So with that, I will stop rambling. Go ahead, take a sippy sip of your water or a big gulp like I just did. Do something that makes you happy. Go outside, touch your grass. Remember, I love you, and I'll see you next week. And you're so important. Don't forget to hydrate your flesh prison, okay? Love you. Bye. Good. Mudang says goodbye. Mwah! Look at this hippo. What are you looking at, hippo? I literally just turned the camera back on because I realized that this hippo is exactly the same one that I have on my arm. They're the same. This one is upside down. Can you see it? Open mouth Mutang. It was meant to be. It was fate. Oh my god. This is the greatest thing ever. I'm so excited. Dad, your hair was directly on the spout of my water. You look like a sleepy little girl. Gotta turn off Bones right now. Okay. Is this cute or is this silly? I mean, it's both. It's both things. Cunty, hippo, cunty, hippo, cunty little hippo. Cunty little hippo, gonna eat some M&M's. Chicken roll, matcha, okay, one more M&M, one little drink. Okay, I really need to get started.